First impressions. First impressions are everything. And in this Godtear video, I'm going to be offering my first impressions of Fenra. So we've been getting a new warband every couple of months. It's great to see how Godtear has evolved out. And one of the things that I really enjoy about Godtear is as we've been getting new drafts, as we've been getting new warbands, the older warbands, normally I would call these legacy warbands, this idea of when a game drops, just for kind of some framework to see where Fenra fits in. When a game is initially released, you don't want to have like one or two factions, ideally. You want to have a decent amount of factions that someone can begin collecting, but also if you dive all in, which is what a miniature company wants you to do, right? Get everything. You've got enough that you can mix and match and have different synergies and different tactics. So with the two core sets and the initial warbands from the Kickstarter back in the day, I'd say that's legacy Godtear. As they've released other warbands, often what will happen, but has not happened in the case of Godtear, is you want to introduce new mechanics. You want to introduce new interesting aspects of gameplay in terms of warband tactics and synergy between the different warbands. So this way I see something cool and I go out and I buy that warband. So this way I can explore with different things. So what you'll see with this, a second or third wave release, is trying new things, introducing new rules, kind of one-off things that might supplement the rules in the rule book or override them in a certain way. What you'll sometimes start to see is those legacy warbands, they're struggling a little bit, right? They're not the newest. The game is evolving. Well, now we're about 3 cycles forward, and we're getting new warbands with some interesting, an interesting spread of stats, some extreme spreads of stats. And what has amazed me was, one of the amazing things was the legacy warbands are still completely viable. Because with Godtear, it's not just about the warband and the synergies, although that's half of it. The other half is what I call tiers management. The fact that the God tiers are both mission objectives, but also terrain. They are changing. They are evolving. I mean, the narrative, they're the salty tears of the gods that we're going to drink deep and power up on. So being able to manage that with the synergy of the warbands means everything is possibly in play. So we've got this framework. I picked up Fenra, and fantastic model, fantastic sculpt. Right away, I'm like, I want to play against it. My buddy picked her up also. We spent all weekend playing Godtear, and I was like, I'm not going to play her yet. I want you to throw her against me. Pull out some warbands. I just want the experience. I want that first impression to see what we can do. And what was interesting was the evade, the armor, and the life. 5 evade. So right away you're like, 5 evade. That's even pre-buff. That's huge. 5 evade. Then on top of that, 1 armor. So you're like, 1 armor. If I get hit by anything, I mean, even a non-damage dealer, even like a pure buffer, like Shell, if I get hit, 1 armor, even if I roll average, I'm going to get hurt. If I roll not so well, I'm still going to get hurt. If someone rolls legendary, if a Slayer can tag me and is jacked up and baned up and hits me with a lucky dice roll, I mean, 1 armor, I'm just going to get smashed. 5 life. 5 life, respectable. I think I could take a good turn against Slayers, but we've only got 1 armor, so I don't really know. So initially I was like, this is really, the balance is really interesting because we've jacked up the evade, we've jacked down the armor, and the life is about standard, about midway. Well, in play, it was very, very interesting. And for most of the games that we played, I rolled average. I say average because, look, sometimes the dice are hot and you're rolling legendary. You can have all the odds stacked against you, the most impossible thing, and you're just rolling hot. I want to save that for the tournaments. Then sometimes, we all do it, the dice were against me. No, you made some tactical mistakes. You took a gamble. Fritz, you went for tabletop glory. It didn't work out. But every now and then, it's convenient. It's easy to blame the dice. But every now and then, okay, you know what? The dice went against you for more than one turn. I say rolling average because there were a couple of moments where I was hot, a couple of moments where I was like, really? How the heck did I miss? Okay, no problem. Titus has got a second round of attacks too. Okay, roll it, see what happens. I missed again? What? Okay, average. I say that because rolling average is important because that'll give you a true taste of the warband you're facing and what you're looking to unlock. What I found with Fenra was she was so hard to hit, where just to take that initial dice pool of generating volume of attacks, if I wasn't a Slayer going after her, I really wasn't hitting. And the times that I was hitting her, because I was not a Slayer, even with the 1 armor, it didn't feel as bad as it looks on the card. And of course, 5 life, that's enough. You're going to be in the game for a little bit on there. Now, going against the Slayers, Slayer on her, well, okay, she's not a Slayer, but she's got massive speed. So all the usual tricks, avoid the Slayers, use followers to block, things like that, could stay away from those Slayers. Now, this is before we even get into buffs and debuffs, which are naturally an important part of the game. If you can buff her evade up for that 1 turn, that's huge. If I can buff her armor up for that 1 turn, that's huge. I mean, that takes extreme stats and jacks them up even more. And even the difference between 1 or 2 armor makes a difference in the fact that most of the attacks are going to miss in the first place. So I'm looking at this and now saying, okay, well, I'm doing the tiers management thing, and I'm trying to do mission objectives, and we played a variety of missions. I started finding where if I focused on killing her, we were playing, most of the games we were playing were 3 warbands, and we played a few with 2 warbands because I wanted to see the synergy and stuff. One-on-one, nothing wrong with playing one-on-one in Godtear. I'm glad it's set up that way for those times where maybe you have 45 minutes to play a game and you throw down 1 warband. But you don't have as many inter-warband synergies going, buffs and debuffs. And it's not a criticism because it plays fast for that time slot. It's 1 warband facing 1 warband. You're kind of going head-to-head. You want to get 2 or 3, or preferably 3 to get the full salty tears of the gods. I found myself throwing more and more at her to beat her down. And yeah, I was able to do it. But I'm like, at what cost of opportunity? Meaning that I'm still trying to deny tiers. I'm still trying to plant banners. I'm still trying to crush banners. I'm still trying to recruit followers. I'm still trying to do area control. I'm trying to be spread out on the board tactically based on the mission and how the tiers are going to interact. But if I'm trying to throw my 3 warbands or even 2 of my warbands on her, then I'm not in other areas. So it's like, yeah, I took her out and I got the +4 because she was staying away from my Slayers. I got the +4 on the battle scale for the kill. But at what cost? Because my opponent was able to rack up other mission points, gobbling up followers or planting stuff on the edge of tier trails, spawning out or generating tiers and planting flags and banners and things like that, that it wasn't enough of a gain. So I found myself being presented with a choice where it's like, I want to kill her. I can't have her running around, especially since she's beating up on my followers, which is another interesting aspect because naturally being a yellow, she's going to try and gobble up the points and target the followers to get the bonus points. Well, followers don't, even the combat-oriented followers, I understand that it's kind of breaking down. Followers kind of break down into 3 ways in Godtear, depending on the color. You've got the followers that, how to put it, they're sacrificial. You're going to remove them from play to augment your champion or to have an effect. They're almost like power counters. So you use them up, you recruit, you generate some. Then you've got some followers that are used to buff up your champion or block off a certain area. Then you've got followers that are combat-oriented. But even the combat-oriented followers, they don't have enough alpha dice. They don't really generate enough dice to respectively beat 5 evade. So I'm chasing my champion down, trying to kill her. She's running after my followers, gobbling them up. My followers are attacking back because they're there, and I got to put some dice on it, but that 5 evade is kind of annoying the hell out of me. Wow, what an interesting champion. That's just that's just first thoughts. That's just based on the stats and area control and mission. We're not even getting into interactions of warbands and buffs and debuffs and things like that. Right away, she's going to become part of my Beast Pack build. Just fantastic synergy, fantastic models. I'm excited to start getting her on the table. Amazing, amazing first impressions. Amazing to add to my warband, which leads to the next question. We've got a new release. What's the next warband? What is the next release? Cannot get enough Salty Tears of the Gods.